Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on coaching for productivity and employee engagement. We are delighted to have you here with us today. Just a few logistical pieces for you. Because of the number of people on the call today, all of you are going to be in the mute mode during this conversation. So if you do have a question, please type it into the question panel in your control for today's webinar. We will monitor questions as we go. If I happen to have an opportunity to build in the answer as I cover the information we go through, I will do that. And then we will, of course, stay on afterwards and continue answering questions. Chances are most of your questions we will hold until the end, type them in when you think of them so they're in there. And then at the end of the conversation, we'll go through our questions and get them answered. We do have just 30 minutes scheduled, and so we want to make sure we cover the information that we have for you. And we're very excited about it. Lots of great content. To let all of you know, Catherine O'Brien is with me as well. She does business development, and so she's going to be available to answer questions and chime in as well. Jumping into the conversation for today, our agenda, what we're going to talk about. We'll be discussing the difference between mentoring, managing, and coaching. These are often misinterpreted and misunderstood. So we'll talk about them. What are they and how are they different? We're going to discuss the benefits of coaching, some very specific pieces that apply to each and every one of us. And then we're going to talk about expectations of the coaching process. What that means is, as we go through, we're going to delve into, okay, how do you actually make it happen? At the end of our webinar, we're going to give you some ideas for having a coaching program. And we're also going to offer you a free 30-minute session with either Catherine or myself based on what is most beneficial to you. So diving in. First, let's explore the difference between managing, mentoring, and coaching. What is a manager? Well, dictionary.com says a manager is a person who has control or direction of an institution, business, etc., or of a part, division, or phase of it. So how is managing different from coaching? Well, a manager is responsible for defining and assigning what has to be done. A coach, on the other hand, empowers thinking and action. It's about the ownership and accountability on the part of the person who's going to be doing the work. Next, what is a mentor? A mentor, according to dictionary.com, is a wise and trusted counselor or teacher. They are an influential senior sponsor or supporter. So what is the difference between coaching and mentoring? Well, a mentor passes on their wisdom and their experience while providing valuable connection. A coach elicits ideas, solutions, and strategies to empower growth and support change. So what is a coach? Here's our definition. A career, executive, business, or life coach, any of the above, serves as a strategic partner. Specifically, the coach empowers the client to clarify goals, create action plans, move past obstacles, and achieve what the client chooses. So when we talk about how these two are different, let me share a few examples. I'm going to call this the A's and the P's. So managing and mentoring, you're involved with the A's. What do? You assess. You assess the circumstances, what's going on, what's happening in the workplace, effectiveness, whether there is a level of employee engagement and productivity. Then you analyze. What is it that's happening? How is it happening? What are the different opportunities? You analyze your direction, your focus, and then you advise. You let the employees know, hey, this is what to do, this is how to do it, this is the direction we're moving. Different from coaching. Coaching is the P's. So what do the P's mean? Well, it starts with partnering. So instead of the coach doing the assessing, they partner with the individual. And in that partnering process, they explore, hey, what is it? What's happening? How is this working? What are the pros and the cons? And then together, they explore perspective. So the coach may have some perspective. They may challenge the coachee's perspective, ask them questions, have them consider different possibilities. And then based on that, exploring those possibilities, move toward creating a plan of action that makes sense. So the coach is the partner in doing the exploring and does that by asking questions. Now, back to more on the difference. A manager talks and a coach listens. A manager focuses the conversation on their requirements, and a coach focuses the conversation on enhancing the skills and the outcomes for the other person. What is the difference between a mentor and a manager? A mentor gives advice, and a coach asks questions. A mentor is the expert with the answers. A coach is the expert at eliciting the answers from the person doing the work. So how does that benefit employee engagement and productivity? Specific benefits of coaching? Well, let's go there. First off, a Gallup poll, they did a study. More than 1 million people employed in the U.S. And based on that, they concluded that the #1 reason people quit their jobs is because of a bad boss or immediate supervisor. Now, let's follow that up with business news. In 2011, they said 84% of workers want to quit their jobs. 84%. Well, if people want to quit their jobs, they're mentally checked out. Employee engagement, way down. Productivity, way down. So how is coaching going to be a benefit in the workplace? Because it's going to start addressing these issues specifically.
Kathy, if I could jump in for just a minute. This is Catherine. I've been doing some research, and American businesses are really waking up to the benefits of coaching, and turnover is a huge area where coaching can really help. Turnover represents an unbelievable cost to employers. According to the Society of Human Resource Management, the total cost associated with employer turnover can be as much as 200% of an individual's annual salary. And if you're looking at an executive, that is a lot of money. And on top of that, a company is faced with losing really valuable employees that are high performers, that have very difficult to replace skill sets, or perhaps minority groups who upset the balance in the company. So I think that the more coaching can come into organizations, the healthier the organization will become.
Absolutely, yes. Excellent insight, Catherine. And it goes right into specifics. So what happens with coaching that you get a change that impacts turnover among other things? Well, coaching benefits the workplace because it directly enhances the skills that are most lacking today. The top deficiencies, the reason people are quitting because of their boss, the reason they want a different job, it goes back to, first off, communication skills, specifically listening, assertive language, and actually asking questions. Then you've got the people skills component, recognizing different personalities and adjusting, working with people based on who they are. Of course, in the workplace, goal setting is huge. Having an effective process that creates change and motivates the follow-through. So coaching benefits the workplace directly by enhancing these skills. let's look at some of the information that's out there on coaching as a benefit to the workplace, to employee engagement and productivity. Denison University said coaching is now the organizational development tool of choice for leaders and emerging leaders. 86% of companies use coaching to sharpen the skills of individuals targeted as future leaders. Now, here's a full study of how coaching is benefiting in the workplace. From a corporate perspective, the top 3 reasons for coaching. They want to develop their high potentials, that is, finding that talent and keeping them, engaging them. And they also want to facilitate transition as people are moving up the ladder into new positions of leadership. Coaching facilitates that process. The next big benefit of coaching in the workplace is you act as a sounding board. Well, think about what happens. If you want to engage people, you get their insights, you ask their perspective, and you really listen to them. What do they think? What are their ideas? And that engages them. Now, coaching 12% of the time is used to address derailing behaviors. So if you had someone in the workplace and their behavior is negatively impacting engagement and productivity, coaching is an opportunity to start addressing that and creating some change. Now, an interesting sidebar to this is that when you have a coaching relationship, 76% of the time, personal issues are addressed. And people question that, and they say, okay, wait a minute, this is the workplace. We're coaching for the job. Well, consider that. Whoever it is that you're coaching, their personal issues affect them while they're on the job. And so if you're going to support development of a high potential, be a real sounding board, or address derailing behaviors, this makes sense. Now, more about coaching. I love this statistic. Powerful, powerful impact. Triad Performance Technologies studied the financial benefits of coaching, and they did it specifically with sales managers in the telecom industry. And they cited a return on investment of 10 to 1 or 1,000%. Now, that's fabulous, 1,000% ROI. That is making a difference in employee engagement and productivity. Another statistic from you, and many of you are familiar with this one, it is the most often cited statistic for coaching. Manchester Inc. did a study, and they found a 570% return on investment when they studied 100 executives that received coaching in their workplace. Another statistic for you. Public Personnel Management shares that participants increased productivity by 22.4% through traditional training alone. When they received training followed by coaching, they experienced a productivity gain of 88%. Does that support employee engagement and productivity? Of course it does. So it's absolutely a powerful tool. If we're thinking about using that powerful tool, let's now explore the expectations of it. What do we want out of coaching? Well, for a company, the return on investment. They want to know that coaching works and that it pays them back for what they invest in it. Now, what about the person who receives coaching? The coachee, what do they want? They want help. They want support. They want direction. They want ideas. They want a process. And they want to go through some strategizing. Now, how do you start meeting those expectations of coaching? And what are they as a whole, both the company and the employee? Well, it's about skill development. It's about perspective, strategizing, and action planning, because these support the ROI for the company, and they provide the coachee with what they want out of that coaching relationship. So digging into meeting those expectations, do it by developing skills as a coach. People skills, communication skills, engaging with questions, and focus and motivation. So very specifically, people skills meet expectations. If you recognize and adjust to different people, you're there. You're meeting those expectations. Specifically, understand and respect their personality. Work with their learning style. Different people have different personalities.
Kathy, if I could jump in again for a moment. Again, this is Catherine. I took the coaching training class in October, and my background is in sales, and I thought I knew everything. I was wrong. One of the big ahas for me was realizing that although we may have a dominant personality style, that is not who we are all the time. And so many of us have gone through things like Myers-Briggs and other personality tools. And the fact is that 75% of the time, if we were to retake that instrument, we'd get a different answer. So to me, it was really huge learning how many different personality styles we all embody, and that a good coach needs to be able to identify where their coachee is at any given point during the relationship.
Excellent. Yes, thank you. And very, very significant, as those of you who have gone through coach training are familiar, having that ability to know who they are in the moment and adjust to them in the moment is significant. Another coaching skill that meets expectation is communication skills. What does that mean? It's about modeling and developing these skills, both personally and in the people you work with. So, bottom line, listening. Again, one of those big challenges for us. And then also assertive communication, how we say what we say, and doing it in a way that is respectful for everybody involved in the conversation. So very, very important skill. Another one, questioning. And of course, as a coach, this is one of the most important skills for developing, because you want to ask effective types of questions that engage people, which means effective wording of those questions. So engaging the employee and then enhancing their productivity. Another skill to make that happen, focus and motivation. Specifically, to develop focus and motivation, it starts with effective language patterns, something very specific to coaching. It goes on with a focus on moving forward instead of that trap that we so often experience in the workplace of talking about the problem and what happened and who did it. The coaching process focuses on where do you want to go, how are you going to get there. It's about identifying the internal motivation. If you want to engage somebody, it's recognizing, hey, what does it mean to that person? And how do you bring that into the situation, the circumstances, so that they buy into it and they are motivated. It's about empowering others to be proactive. Instead of me telling somebody what to do, when I empower them to figure it out for themselves and take action, they own it. They're engaged and productivity goes up. Coaching skills meet expectations. Is it something you can learn? Well, of course it is. How do you learn coaching skills? Either by having a coach and going through the coaching process yourself or through training. Now, in terms of coaching, what is expected? If you're going to meet the expectations and have coaching, think about the 11 core competencies as published by the International Coach Federation. So specifically, ethical guidelines in a coaching agreement are one of the first sections on the core competencies. And having a coaching program in your workplace to enhance employee engagement and productivity means having a conversation. Okay, what are the ethics that are followed in that coaching relationship, and what kind of an agreement do we have as to our process and how we work in that coaching relationship? Another section from the core competencies includes trust and intimacy and coaching presence. Again, back to those coaching skills of recognizing a personality in the moment and working with that person based on who they are. It's about those effective communication skills so that you really are listening to that person, hearing what they're saying, what they mean by what they're saying, and engaging with them effectively. The next section of core competencies includes the communication areas of active listening, powerful questioning, and direct communication. These are skills you want each person providing coaching to develop effectively. And the last section of core competencies in the International Coach Federation list includes creating awareness. That's by asking those questions, challenging the thinking, exploring different perspectives. It involves designing the action steps. And here's where it's powerful in terms of employee engagement. Have them decide what those action steps are. Involve them in the planning and the goal setting. And then develop accountability through the coaching process. This supports outcomes in terms of enhancing productivity and enhancing employee engagement. So what does this mean to you? Well, think about the possibilities. Start with meeting the expectation. You have opportunities through coaching. Specifically, within your organization, you can provide internal coaching services. You can bring in external coaches, and as many organizations are discovering, a combination of both often makes sense. The advantage to an internal coach is that they know the company, they know the culture, they're involved and understand what's going on. The advantage of an external coach is that this is somebody who really is outside this environment. That means it's a different perspective. And it also means that the coachee is a little more comfortable talking about some things, knowing this person isn't there and saying this to someone else, etc. So one way of meeting the expectations is by providing those coaching services. Another opportunity that you have with coaching is to train your managers, supervisors, and leaders on coaching skills. Now, to maximize your benefits, have a combination. Implement a coaching program that provides both training and coaching services. The application for you, many, many opportunities here.
Kathy, if I could add something, I was reading an article the other day that I thought was very relevant to this discussion. And it had to do with the 360-degree peer reviews that are so common in many organizations. And there's the good and the bad with 360. The good is that you get a lot of feedback. The bad is that you have no way of finding out more about perhaps what a comment meant or what that particular feedback really means to you. And some organizations are bringing in a coaching process within HR, within the management team, so that they can work with employees to better understand 360 feedback and then be able to develop these proactive and appropriate action plans based on the feedback.
Yeah, excellent point, Catherine. And I have actually read articles and stories that discuss, okay, how effective is a 360 if we don't have coaching as a follow-up to really explore, okay, now what are you going to do with this information? And people fall into that trap of wanting to find out who said it and get back at them or that kind of thing, whereas with coaching, the focus becomes, okay, what am I going to change so that I'm more effective? And it's very, very powerful in terms of that engagement and productivity. So excellent. Now, for those of you on the call, what does that mean? In terms of taking the next step, I want to share with you a couple of things that are immediately available. First off, the Center for Coaching Solutions. The mission statement is the resource for coaching results. Whatever it is you want, here to help you, here to provide the information and make resources available to you. Next, the Center for Coaching Certification. For those of you that do want training to enhance your coach training experience with quality, professionalism, and support. So, next step for you, resources for your internal coaching program include the training with the Center for Coaching Certification, having a consultant work with you to implement an internal coaching program, and that's available through the Center for Coaching Solutions, and providing coaches. The Center for Coaching Certification has a database of coaches, and we source based on the experience and what's going to be most effective for you and your organization. Now, making that happen for yourself, we want to give you that free 30-minute consultation. We mentioned that back at the beginning. Now, how do you know who to talk to? If you're interested in hiring coaches or a consultant, talk with Catherine. If you would like to have information on training coaches, talk with me. How do you get a hold of us? Here is Catherine's information. Give you her direct telephone number, email address, and then, of course, the website. If you'd like to talk with me, here's all of my contact information. And again, direct phone number, email, etc. So we're here to be a support to you in making a coaching program work for you, because we know the difference it makes in terms of both productivity and employee engagement. Now we're open at this time for questions. We're right up against our time for that 30 minutes. We've got a couple of minutes to answer these, and I've got a few questions coming in. So one of them, I've actually had several of you ask me this question: will you have access to this information afterwards? Here's what I'm going to share with you. We do post these webinars on YouTube, and I will email everyone that registered for today so that you have the link to watch this again on YouTube if you want additional information. So absolutely happy to make that available to you. Catherine, I do want to give you an opportunity if you want to jump in with any additional comments or questions.
I think just thanking everybody who attended the webinar today, and we are so interested in talking to you and listening and finding out what kinds of things are going on in your organizations, what kinds of issues you're seeing that you think might involve coaching. So just feel free to call or email, and we can open a dialogue.
Excellent. Thank you. And I have been answering some questions privately in the background, so I think what you've been asking we're definitely caught up on. Anyone that has additional questions, please come in with those. And then in the meantime, go ahead and capture our direct contact information. If you email or call, we're happy to set up time. Free 30 minutes just answering your question, brainstorming with you, figuring out resources so that whatever you want to do in terms of a coaching program, training coaches, being trained as a coach, providing coaches, or implementing that internally, we're there as your resource. In the meantime, I do want to start answering some of the other questions that are coming in. So one of them, I'm being asked, how do you coach a know-it-all? And I absolutely love that question. That's a great question. And here's what's neat about coaching. When you're the coach, your job is eliciting the answer from the other individual. And so when somebody comes in and they know the answers, then as a coach, your job becomes challenging their thinking and their perspective and asking, okay, so if you do this, if this is your answer, what are the possibilities? What are the outcomes that may come from this? What's a different option? What's a different possibility? How does someone else perceive it, a different person? What do they think of this? What would they say to do that's different? Let's brainstorm a number of different options and then have you think through the pros and cons of each. And so because you're partnering with that person as a coach, you really are empowering them to figure it out for themselves, and you do it in a way that's completely respectful? So great question on that. And a couple others, people are just asking me private questions, and so I'm responding to those in the background. In the meantime, I want to echo what Catherine said and thank all of you for your time today, your participation. We're definitely available here for you, and we'll hang around as long as you're here and continue answering questions. And then in the meantime, those of you that did schedule your day fully, feel free to jump back into what you've got going on. So thank you all.
Kathy, I just thought of one more thing, if I could hop in real quick. I just wanted everybody to know that we're going to be doing this on a monthly basis, so definitely be on the lookout for the next installment, which will be in February. And also, if you've got any topics that you'd like to see addressed, I would encourage you to email us and let us know what you want to know about.
Excellent. Yes, thank you, Catherine. So we will let you know, if you're on our mailing list, when we have our next webinar in a month. And then also happy to take your input on topics. So great. Do email us with that. Excellent point. Another question I'm getting is, what additional webinars do you have available? So let me share with you, both of the websites that you see on your screen now offer additional webinars. So on the Center for Coaching Solutions, as Catherine mentioned, we'll do a webinar like this, 30 minutes, talking about coaching programs and resources each month. On the Center for Coaching Certification, we do free webinars every other month, and those are listed under additional training. Those are all 60 minutes long, and they're very specifically training webinars. So both are available to you. Thank you, a couple of you, for bringing that up in your questions. Very much appreciate your time and participation today, and we look forward to hearing from you either via telephone or email. So thank you, everyone.